Hiya, welcome to RiderCamTV, and look at this fantastic weather we've got here today, which makes a bit of a change because the weather's been pretty foul for the last few days. Anyway, enough about that. What I'm going to talk about today is my new BMW GSA Rally TE, which is this little beauty here. Now, people have asked us to do a review of the bike after I made a comment on another video saying that I wouldn't change my old GSA for the new one just because of the TFT screen, and that's right, because I wouldn't. However, my old bike, which is a 66 plate, was I think it was 16 months old and had 28,000 miles on it nearly, and in 16 months, so I decided to chop it in and go for this one. Now, I got this one at the beginning of June. It's now beginning of November, and this one's now got 11,000 miles on it, so I'm knocking the miles out on it. But let's talk about the bike. This is the TE version, and as you can see, it's in a lovely blue colour, which I think really makes the bike look quite spectacular. It's exactly the same as my old GS Adventure, but I say that there are some differences, and I don't know where they are really, but if we just go through the bike, it's got you know, pretty much standard everything. There are some differences though, in as much as these things like these covers, rubberized covers, have been added to the bike, which I think is a nice touch. Stops you scratching things, catching your foot on the shaft. It's got some differences in the in the suspension setup. On this one, you can have it set to automatic, so it works out how heavy you are or what you've got on, and then it sets the suspension accordingly. Unfortunately, I found with that it always sets it really quite high. Now, it might be because I'm a bit of a lardy, I don't know. But with the panniers empty, and I've ridden all round on my last tour to Croatia with it set on low or minimum, and it was fine, even though I had, you know, stuff in my panniers and everything. It was perfectly fine. Both feet on the floor, which is what people seem to think they need, and that was it. So how does the bike perform? Well, the bike performs better than I thought it was going to. I mean, it's only 16 months newer than my old bike, and I was really happy with that. But this one, I don't know what they've done. It seems a lot smoother. I still hate the panicky 3 tyres they put on it, and they will be changed soon because they're just about done. But it's got better miles per gallon out of it. This bike now with 11,000 miles on it, which my old bike I was probably getting about 53 around town, something like that. This one is knocking out about 57, and on the tour recently it was pushing out about 64, 65, and making me get the fuel return from the tank was about, it was over 400 miles. Now that's phenomenal. Obviously I'm not thrashing it down the autobahns. I was just cruising along at the speed limits in sort of Europe on the A roads and B roads, and that was about 50, 60 miles an hour. So to give you a phenomenal mileage like 460 miles, over 400 miles, is absolutely unbelievable. So it's got a quick shifter on it, this bike. The quick shifter is just the same as my last one. I use it mostly going down the gears, and the first couple of gears I feel that you don't need to use it very well. I use the clutch. I don't know whether it's just a throwback to me always having used the clutch, but you know, that's where we are. The bike is fitted with my Hell Out vest under there. It's curious that underneath the seat now there's not as much space as there was on my old bike. Space is quite limited. Again, it's got the garbage BMW OEM fitted mudguard, which is absolutely pointless. So as I've already shown on a video, I fitted my hugger to it, which is unbelievably effective, and a lot of you have agreed with me on that. It's got my boom up panniers on it, which are absolutely amazing. I also made a video about the stop button, which is the SOS button, which is here. Unbelievable bit of kit. And when we dropped our bike in Norway, my wife and I say we, it was me, on the tour, that worked perfectly, and a lot of you have made comments about that, and I'm very grateful. And the only damage to the bike was this little scuff here on the pannier, which is pretty cool. So more about the bike. Same mirrors, same screen, same everything. I'll switch it all on so you can see the screen. It's got a Nav6 Navigator GPS. You can see it's got, I lied when I said it had done 11,000 miles, it's done 10,500 miles, nearly 10,700. TFT screen. Now, I thought this was quite a delicate thing, so I bought a cover that just fits over the top of it. It cost me £9 for 4 actually, off the internet, and it's an anti-glare one, which has worked quite well while I've been abroad, and it's been bright sunshine, so I'm very pleased with that. The screen itself, it's got all the functionality that you imagine it's always had, mostly to do with this jockey wheel here, this thing here that controls everything. And if I press the map, you can see that this works like that quite well, and you can change everything with this. Now if I go back to the TFT screen, if you press the menu button, it gives you all these things here. So using the jockey wheel, I can scroll through them all, and we'll start right from the very beginning, and it starts off at my vehicle. And in that you get the tyre pressures, you also get the onboard computer, the trips, all that old malarkey. Again, the tyre pressures, service requirements. That's optimistic, isn't it? I'll just show you that again. In 1,705 miles it needs a service, which should be around about September next year. I think personally it'll be done by Christmas, but you know, we'll see. So I scroll back through, and using the menu button again, you can go back out of any menus. Now you might be able to see it, but underneath there it says navigation, and it also says media and telephone, and then we go into the settings page, and the settings is just all your standard connections, vehicle system, you know, display, all that sort of stuff. It's not really much difference there. But I will talk about the navigation and the telephone. On this screen you will get a navigation app if you want, and it shows you turn by turn. It doesn't give you a map, it just says, you know, in the next 50 yards turn right, and you can connect it to your helmet and all that kind of stuff, which I think is a bit, it's good. But if you've got one of these things in front of us, you know, the Nav6, you don't need that. You can also run your telephone from it, and you can also connect your media from your helmet, or you know, your phone or whatever. Now I haven't done this because I've set it up 3 times now, and I'm a little bit disappointed because I've looked at the YouTube videos. There's a YouTube video for everything. I've set up the system how it's supposed to be set up, and I can see it plays music, I can see the music scrolling through, my helmet is connected, the telephone's connected, but I can't hear it. And I'm a little bit disappointed, as much as I've asked BMW a couple of times now, what's the issue, how can I resolve it, and they just go, we'll get back to you. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that, but when it goes in for its service, it will be coming out fixed, because I'm not best pleased with it at the moment. And it's something to do with the systems I've got. I've got an Interphone Tour Bluetooth helmet thing, and I've just got a normal phone, so it's not as if it's difficult, and it's a bit sketchy on how to do it. You have to get this app called Connected, which you download, and that doesn't really do very much at all. But you know, you can record your journeys on it. Is there much need for that? I don't think so. You've got a GPS for that, so I think there's a little bit too much of the electronics, and that was why when I first reviewed the bike I said I wouldn't change my bike just for the TFT screen. you know, unfortunately I've had to now because of mileage. But it's a bit disappointing, but it is fantastic. The screen is obviously adjustable while you're riding along, and if I come back out of it, you've got the standard things there. You've got your light indicator's got automatic lights, temperature gauge. This is the rev counter that comes around here, which is very nice. That's the remaining fuel in the tank, and you've got your different systems. If I click through the different systems, I've got road, dynamic, enduro, and rain, and then back to road again. Now I'll talk about the different systems. Road is just normal dry roads. Rain is if it's a bit wet and you need to sort of ease the throttle down a little bit. And dynamic is, I suppose, is like a sport mode, but to be honest, I just ride the bike in road. You get a difference in the dynamic. The throttle's a little bit snatchier, but I just leave it in road, and I've ridden in some horrendous weather in it, as you've seen on videos about some of the tours we've done, and I really don't think you need to have that. The enduro mode is for if you're taking the bike off-road, and we're going to be doing an off-road course early next year, and you get a little chip that's located on the bike, and you can put that into the bike's computer, and you can have the full enduro mode, which is like the traction control off and all this kind of malarkey. So, you know, that's there if you need it. But I'll be honest with you, for all the riding I've done, nearly 11,000 miles of it, I've not felt the need to have it in enduro mode or in the rain mode or the dynamic mode, because road is just good enough. So, enough waffling on about that. Typical BMW, you get a brake alarm and an ABS alarm when you first start the bike off. And on the top line here, if I just scroll through, if I can do that now, by clicking the menu button, which is here, it all looks very complicated, it tells you along this top line here, you get the fuel gauge, total mileage I've done, 10,700, stop saying it's 11,000 mark. The trip so far, this is just an ongoing running thing. It automatically starts from 0 when you start a new trip, miles per gallon, and all this kind of stuff. I've no idea what that means. It's something to do with a clock and a stopwatch, and again there's another one, and there's a cup of tea there. And I don't really know what that means, but it's been running for 1,458.24 hours, I believe. So there you go. That's a cruise control. Now the cruise control is awesome. I use it a lot. Don't use it below 30 miles an hour. You switch it on and off simply by clicking that switch across there and then pushing it back, and you set it by pressing that. There's no resume on the resume speed on the cruise, which I think is a good idea. You don't want to be catching yourself out and throttling ahead somewhere. And I'm just scrolling back down to the screen again. You can see the final screen, back on 97 miles left in the tank. There's not really a lot more to say about it. The bike's fantastic. I love it. Is it as good as my last one? I think it's slightly better as a machine. The fuel system has obviously had something tweaked because it's doing that much more miles to the gallon, which is a good thing. But it's just the same as my other bike. I have noticed now, going back to the tyres, and if I just come back over here again and switch it all off, because it's God, it's going to burn your retinas. The tyres they fit on it are at the moment Panicky 3s, but on the trip to the dealers the other day, I noticed that they're putting Bridgestones on there, a Bridgestone Adventure tyre, which I'm going to see if we can try and get a hold of to see what they're like. But these tyres now are getting on for, I think, about 5,000 miles on the front. I'll go and show you the one at the back. Oh, it's not very clean, obviously, I'm afraid. So there's still quite a bit of tread on the back, but I just don't like these tyres, unfortunately. I don't want to keep whittling on about it, but you know, there are better tyres than this on the road, and it's probably a measure that they're squaring off a little bit there now. It's probably a measure that the BMW are trying another bike, another set of tyres. So that's about it. I can't waffle on anymore, so I won't. This will go to Toby for his wizardry to be done, and I'm sure he'll put some bits and pieces somewhere around the calendar. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel because that's really important to us, and it's nice to know what your comments are, good or bad, we don't care, about the bike. So I'll see you soon.